You should be really careful if black starts with this opening. It catches all unprepared opponents every single time. Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is my first video on this account, and today we're going to be covering the King's Indian defense, which is mostly played by black pieces. We're going to only be covering this from the black's perspective, and the next part of this video will be on white's perspective and how to counterplay, so subscribe so you don't miss that. Now here's what makes the King's Indian defense powerful. We'll actually let white capture the center, and we reply with d6. We're not going for the center. We're not going to capture the center. We're going to let them build a big center, and then we're going to push our knight to f6. Now, as you can see, this setup is created. If he pushes the pawn, we actually just can't take this, because if he takes with this, we can just take his queen, and once the king takes, he loses his rights to castling. So he cannot castle anymore, and his king is going to be just sitting on this square. So he cannot push this pawn. What he will do, of course, is protect this pawn using this knight, which is the most common move. He will protect this pawn, and what we're going to do is actually push g6. To get the bishop on the g7 square. Getting the bishop on the g7 square is actually called the fianchetto. This opening is also known as the King's fianchetto. Most people call it King's Indian, same thing. Now, white can do all sorts of moves. He can push this bishop here, he can put this bishop here, he can put this knight here. Most common one is this move. Yes, putting the pawn to f4, basically preparing this attack. But that's not really, ideal move, because you can just put the bishop here, which actually is loss for white. He can put this here, and takes all sorts of stuff. So we go back. Now we can see that instead of this, white can also play this, which grabs the center again and aggressive pushing. We can just put the bishop on g7. Now our plan is we can also push c5 and also e5, but after we castle, of course. We also have knight to c6, and we actually need to see what white is actually threatening. If white can go here, we actually need to know what white is doing first to counter his threat. We don't need to just castle immediately or follow the entire moves. I say we have to look into the game to see what white is actually doing. After that, we need to make sure that our pieces are coordinated. We don't want to leave the queen here. We don't want a knight to go here. We want all the pieces to be coordinated and protected by each other. Now watch this position. Here, white can play a lot of moves. The best move is to put the bishop here, putting a lot of protection on this pawn, or putting this bishop here, or putting the queen here. Putting this bishop here, so you can put this queen here and attack this square right here. But we don't want to do that. We can just castle this one. Yes. Now white can play a lot of moves. Push this pawn, put this knight here, or just go here. But look at this position now. Look at how safe our king is, and we have this move. This move, and we have knight to here. Now the beauty of the King's Indian is that tactics appear constantly. We can go here, we can go here, or anywhere we can play. We can also push e5 also. So that's good for us, because we have a lot of tactics and our king is also safe. We can see that white pieces are uncoordinated and the king is not castle, king is not safe. Now there are a lot of errors that beginners make while using this opening. So the first error is moving too slowly. The King's Indian requires tempo. Don't waste moves or move the same piece twice unless needed. So do not move the same piece twice. Let the pieces stay and actually do what the King's Indian has, like castling and putting the bishop on fianchetto. So do that first. And we also need to castle in the first 8 moves. Do not delay castle unless needed. We have to castle in the first 8 moves so our king is also safe. And all the pieces must be attacking together in order to initiate an attack, or we're just gonna lose material like that. So if you learn these mistakes and avoid them, you're gonna be climbing your rating very fast. Now don't just push pawns. Like, you just don't want like a lot of pawn pushing all over the place. You're gonna open up your position. You don't want to do that. You actually just want to keep your king safe. Do not try pushing the e5 pawn. Actually try pushing the c pawn, but do not push pawns that much. And the third thing is you also want to watch white's move. You don't want to watch your own moves. You actually want to watch white's moves as well, of what he's doing and how can I counter that. So what if he goes here? What if he does this? You actually want to counter those moves as well. So you don't want to look at your own moves. You also want to look at white's move and what is white threatening and move accordingly. Don't follow the rules, like don't follow the entire opening. Actually try and study the position you're in and make moves according to that position. That marks the part 1 of the King's Indian breakdown from black perspective. Next video I'll show you how to crush your opponents using this as white pieces. If you're preparing for tournaments, you need to know both sides. Like this video and subscribe for weekly chess contents. Drop your ratings below. Let's connect and see you in the next video. Peace.